Hey everybody. Whew, it's been a long day. It's 6 o'clock. Humidity is 41%. And it's just a hair under 80 degrees. Here's what I got done today. My arms are all tore up from working, stretching and digging and bending over and killing myself. But with the exception of the center stringer, these guys are in here. I've been building this thing for 3 years, and I've disclosed a lot of stuff about why I do this, why I do that. One thing I haven't really touched on in the videos is the use of pop rivets. There's several reasons that I don't use traditional squash rivets. Number one, I really don't know how. I mean, I understand how a squash rivet works, but I understand that there are complex, formulas that one has to use when they have various thicknesses of metal, so many sheets of metal, and I don't know that. And at this point, I've never really wanted to take on that knowledge because I don't have engineering drawings. I say that so much. I'm building this completely from looking at pictures and rough dimensions. If I had drawings that told me where every fastener went, how far they were spread apart, what went here, if I had the nomenclature on this bolt, this rivet here, these 10 rivets here, if I knew all that stuff exactly, I'd be more keen to using pop rivets. But since I'm reverse engineering this stuff, having to get the pop rivets and the Clecos and make everything look nice, not to mention taking several months to build a bulkhead versus a couple of days, I would do that. But there's just so much guesswork. I mean, I'm rebuilding this because, prior to a couple weeks ago, I had no idea what this looked like. Now I've got an almost exacting picture. Now, granted, I don't have very far to go. I mean, the major construction is essentially done. And there are things that I simply can't rework. They're off a hair, but it is what it is. Because, reworking those things would just offset everything. Another reason is cost. Rivets I've seen on eBay, squash rivets, are considerably more expensive than the pop rivets I use. But the biggest reason is a bucking bar. Now, there's a lot of places I could use the bucking bar. And I don't have an air compressor, and I don't have a rivet gun. But there's a lot of places I could use the squash rivets and the bucking bar. But understand, and I'm not talking to people who restore airplanes and who build planes. I'm talking to people who just don't know. Whenever you build an airplane or whenever you build anything, you have instructions, you have protocol you have to follow. For example, they build this bulkhead not in the plane in thin air like I did. They have, fancy jigs where engineers that design that bulkhead have made this really nice jig that screws and tensions and tightens up and holds it exactly where it needs to be. And on that jig, not only does it, align it for, gauges and quality control to make sure it's absolutely perfect, but it also includes the provisions for the next step of the airplane or whatever you're building. What I'm trying to say is they don't do it this way. They don't build this and then build this and connect. They would build this and then build these out and then connect that. But because I'm reverse engineering and I know the distance between here and here and all the other things that have, come together, I can't build that way. Plus, I don't want to take a year to build something that I can build in a couple of days. That's not very entertaining. And part of this is, entertainment. But I it's just me building this thing. You know, if I really get down on my hands and knees and go in there and beg to my wife, you know, really go in there and butter it up, she'll come out here and help me for a couple minutes. Otherwise, she's a career woman. She does her part, and I don't want her to come out here. You know, trying to get my teenage daughter to come out here would be like, you know, talking to a wall, unless she really wanted to, had to really turn over a really wild hair or whatever. But that's why I don't use those things. In my next aircraft that I'm going to build, I hope to find the engineering drawings and do a really good job and actually learn, you know, why aeronautical engineers do things the way they do it. So that'll give me a better idea of how to paint that picture to make it, you know, something that would physically resemble an airworthy airplane. But the bottom line is I've come so far. It's too late to turn back now. So, geez, working in here was exciting. I picked up a new tool. This thing right here, I wish I would have bought that a long time ago. That thing is bad. So you've never seen one of those before, I suggest you go get yourself one. Here there's gonna be a shelf that mounts between these two that have the flight control. They're the big circle thingamajiggies that transfer the lines. And there's going to be one on this side as well. There's some hydraulic and electrical stuff that runs through here. There's a shelf between these two bulkhead or stringers. Some kind of a motor that mounts under here. I don't know what it is. I don't have, if it happened inside the airplane or was something that was readily accessible or replaced often, I've got the illustrated parts breakdown. But guys didn't typically get up under here and, you know, mess with this stuff. So there's no data as to exactly what lives under here. But I'm going to try to make it look as best as I could. And the irony is, you know, once I cover this up, you'll never see any of it anyways. So that's that. Go ahead and show you around all the whole rivets that I've had to remove to do what I've done here. It's pretty crazy. I got a lot of rivets to go back and put back in. Plus all the rivets you saw on the other side, those were just to get everything in place. I have to go back and, you know, add the rivets and do that pattern. I don't know what that's called whenever they do that, but I tried to do that on every possible joint. Anyways, I'll see y'all next time.